This is a pile-up lesson for Kingdom Plantae, a huge topic that we have covered till now. There were many classes, further understandings, and what we are going to do in this lesson is just have a review of whatever we have studied. We will not review it because we have studied it in great lengths. Only thing we are going to see over here is just a review of examples, so that there is a little bit of repetition and revision, of course. So we see that Kingdom Plantae was divided into two parts. One was non-seed bearing, other were seed bearing. We had two of algae and bryophytes, which were thallophytes. Then we had pteridophytes. These were phanerogams, these were cryptogams, which have seeds, and those which do not have seeds. Still here, algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes did not have seeds. Gymnosperms and angiosperms, they do have seeds. These are having naked seeds. These are flowering beautiful plants which have beautiful flowers where pollination is being observed. Those are general characteristics. What is the part of this lesson is that we have to see the further classifications of each one of these, and we have to see the examples. We are going to revise the further classifications, starting with algae. We had green algae, we had brown algae, and we had red algae. The green algae is Chlorophyceae, brown is Phaeophyceae, red is Rhodophyceae. Let's see example of each. Chlamydomonas is a green algae which is unicellular. Recall that Volvox was a colonial green algae. Then we have Eulothrix, which was spiral, little bit, or not spiral, it was filamentous. Then we have Spirogyra. So we have 4 examples. If you can learn them by heart right now, it is good for you. Again, I am repeating, Chlorophyceae has Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Eulothrix and Spirogyra. At least remember these 4 names. Moving further, the brown algae has Laminaria, it has Sargassum, it has Ectocarpus. You have to remember this, Ectocarpus. It would come time and again in your references. So we have Laminaria, Sargassum and Ectocarpus. And there was another part that we studied with special reference, that was Fucus, because of its pigment fucoxanthin. So you can remember Fucus as well. And you can put as many names as you want to according to your learning skills in this, etc. That is your choice. And then we coming to Rhodophyceae, we have Porphyra, we have Gelidium, we have Gracilaria, and as many as you can put in, etc. Again I tell you. Then we come to Bryophytes, we have liverworts and we have mosses. In the case of liverwort, we have example of Marchantia. In case of mosses, we have example of Sphagnum. And as we study the example of Funaria, that cannot be missed. So we have Sphagnum, we have Funaria. Moving further to the ferns. In ferns, we had 4 classes. We did not talk in great depth about all these. We are not going to do that. All we have to do is remember the examples of each class. First is Psilopsida or Xylophyta, and the example is Xylotum. So you can associate very clearly that Xylotum for Psilopsida or Xylophyta. And the other one is Mesipteris, that is type of pteris only, but over here you don't have to remember pteris, because you are going to find pteris in Dryopteris, and that is Pteridophyta. Okay. We have Lycophyta, that is Lycopsida. Example over here is Selaginella and Lycopodium. In the case of Sphenopsida, we have example of Equisetum. Equisetum is studied in great detail by those who study this plant kingdom. Botanists, they have Equisetum as a reference for pteridophytes. Then we have Pteridophyta, that is Pterophyta, that is Pteropsida. The term is Pteropsida, and it is the pteridophytes are usually given reference by this. We have Dryopteris, we have Azolla. Remember, for this Azolla we have the term walking fern or the maidenhair fern, because it shows vegetative propagation through its leaves, and it is like like you see in the case of runners that are seen in the hair plants like mint. So Azolla is known as walking fern or maidenhair fern. Then we have Salvinia. So these are the examples you have to remember. Moving further to Gymnosperms. Gymnosperms are also further classified into Cycadales, Coniferales, Ginkgoales and Netales. This Netales and ginkgoales. In fact, ginkgoales, certain books just classify these ginkgoales and nettales under one classification only, but because we have certain nettales which are not living fossils, that is why ginkgoales has been classified differently. You can see the example. Cycadales example is cycas, that is oftenly present in houses as ornamental plant. Then we have pinus, that is present in the mountainous areas, coniferous parts, coniferous trees, coniferales. Then we have ginkgoales, ginkgo biloba, the living fossil, and we have nettales where we have ephedra, we have nettales. So this is all about gymnosperms, the examples one by one. Repetition is being done so that you can recall them and learn them. And last one is angiosperms, divided into two classes, dicots and monocots. Over here we have dicots, all those plants which have dicotyledonous seeds, or we can say that which have woody stem. So we have example of mustard and sunflower and mango and apple. There are so many examples, and like umpteen examples which can be quoted in the case of dicots, and same is in the case of monocots. Monocots are grasses, the huge palm trees that you have in your houses as ornamental trees in your gardens, they are monocots. You have cereals, wheat, rice, barley, maize, all these are example of monocots, and of course the grasses, bamboo, etc. So we see the diversity that is so much in the case of angiosperms. The smallest kingdom, the smallest class being the pteridophytes, because they have been restricted due to their less adaptable behavior, and rest of the things that we have discussed. With this we pile up with Kingdom Plantae. I hope you enjoyed it. Those of who you didn't enjoy, still you have to learn it, you don't have any other choice.